These are my final Premier League predictions. The international break is over. The transfer window is shut. And these are not changing. Whatever you say about the relegated sides this season, whether you disagree with me or not, I do feel we can all unanimously say that Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds all look a lot stronger than the three promoted sides last season. Now, it's still early to say whether they might all get relegated, of course. But I feel it's going to be a marginal relegation battle that goes right to the wire this season. And I'm hoping for that as a neutral as well. So I say Burnley are going to get relegated, but I think they're going to stay in the league and they're going to be competitive right to the end. I'm a big fan of Scott Parker. I think Dubravka's been good. Kyle Walker as well. I just don't think they've got enough quality. In at 19, Leeds United. This is not changed since the start of the season for me. They look decent against Newcastle United. Picked up a big win at the start of the season against Everton. Of course, got a little bit lucky with the refereeing decision. Again, this is going down to Daniel Farke, similar to Scott Parker. These guys are making their sides competitive. Same with Reggie Labrie as well. Leeds will be close to survival, but it just won't be enough, in my honest opinion. In at 18, I wanted to put Wolverhampton Wanderers. I just think the fact they've kept Strand Larsen, I think he's the best player in and around the kind of bottom 5, bottom 6 sides. Someone that could score 15 Premier League goals this season quite easily. We could say the structure around Wolves isn't quite good enough, but I think it's better than what Brentford have got. Young manager, I think he'll be under a massive amount of pressure. They look really flat against Sunderland very, very recently. Picked up a great win against Aston Villa. I like Utara as well, has come from Bournemouth. I just think Brentford can get relegated with Jordan Henderson, who'll be starting at the World Cup for England next summer. Let that sink in. I think Wolves will just about survive because I prefer Pereira to Keith Andrews in terms of his experience, in terms of I prefer the keeper at Wolves, Jose Sarr. I still think Hwang's a decent player. They've got enough quality in there. The midfield's okay. It's a very thin squad. Any major injuries, they're in a world of pain. Plus, Wolves can add to any squad additions they need. They can add in January, potentially in a way that Leeds United might not want to. Burnley as well, didn't spend the most in the summer. I feel that Wolves can manipulate their way through, just about surviving into the Premier League more than the other clubs I've just mentioned. I feel like Brentford are a little bit flat as well. So Wolves in at 17. 16th, Sunderland. That's up a couple of places from where I predicted at the start of the season. They've been absolutely superb. The opening day win against West Ham. Granit Xhaka's picking up huge assists, big crosses into the box, controlling the game. He is, no joke, a Champions League midfielder playing at such a low level. It's crazy. With all due respect to Sunderland, he's in a relegation battle right now. We don't know where they're going to be next season. Maybe they're further up the table. How do we know? We don't know. But right now, Sunderland, they've got one of the best players in the bottom half of the Premier League that I've probably ever seen at this level in the last 10, 15 years in Granit Xhaka. So I'm going for 16th, Sunderland. West Ham, for me, will stay in the league. They looked absolutely superb against Nottingham Forest. I know that was a parting gift from Nuno Espirito Santo. Didn't play a couple of the new signings from Marinakis, and they look very defensively frail. Callum Wilson got on the score sheet. Jared Bowen nearly scored goal of the century. I feel that West Ham just got enough quality in that squad. Fabianski coming back as well is a great addition, brings a lot of experience. And even if they sack Graham Potter, they can go out there and get Sean Dyche, let's just say. They can manipulate and manoeuvre their way through a Premier League campaign just about to survive. They got more than enough quality. Jared Bowen, I mean, he's an outstanding footballer. Could be going to the World Cup as well. He's of that caliber. So for me, West Ham United in 15th. That is pretty standard. This is a massive one for me. Nottingham Forest are next in 14th. At the start of the season, I predicted a top half finish. I even predicted European football if things went their way, getting back into maybe even the Conference League next season for Nottingham Forest with Nuno Espirito Santo. I backed him to turn things around and get on side with Marinakis. Obviously, that hasn't materialised. We're looking at a guy who is so ill-equipped to set up Nottingham Forest defensively that all of Nottingham Forest's defensive quality is down to 4-2-3-1, being a deep line side that kind of counterattacks and sits deep and holds on and is physical, robust. And he's going to throw all of that out the window for principles which might succeed in the Europa League. We don't know yet. I think there are a lot more sides that are going to win the Europa League than Nottingham Forest this season. I think it's one of the biggest own goals I've ever seen in sacking Nuno Espirito Santo. If things go really bad, he he might not even last the end of the season, Ange Postecoglou, and he could even embroil them in a relegation battle. These are my predictions. I don't care. They've got more than enough quality not to be in a relegation battle, but that's down to the manager. I'm a big fan of Dan and Doy's coming. Superb. Gibbs White as well. Chris Wood is still looking absolutely superb. The back line's fantastic. But this is down to principles of managerial philosophy. Does Ange Postecoglou have the wherewithal to just keep a lot of what Nuno Espirito Santo was doing very well and just tinker a few things? These modern managers don't care. They know they're going to get a brand new job if they keep to their philosophical principles, and that could be to the detriment of Nottingham Forest, and I'm predicting it will be. In at 13th, Bournemouth, Iriola. This guy's a god, isn't he? They were absolutely superb against Tottenham. And I feel that if they had a little bit more about them, maybe they kept a few more of their back line. Hard to, when PSG, Real Madrid and Liverpool come in, it's crazy. And Arsenal with Kepa. We're looking at a European finish for Bournemouth. That's how good they are. Semenyo, huge fan of. I feel like he could go in January as well. So I think Bournemouth 13th, absolutely superb. Palace in at 12th. This could be a lot lower if anything happens to Glasner. Could he leave? If something happens in January with Mark Gahey, we don't know. Right now, they're a fantastic side. Mateta's been linked to Aston Villa in the last few weeks. He's currently at Crystal Palace, and they've got a very, very good side. I still think that Crystal Palace will finish close to mid-table like they usually do. Fulham in at 11th. They've been solid so far this season. Absolutely nothing to complain about for Fulham, in my honest opinion. Wrongfully denied a goal against Chelsea. They looked absolutely superb in that game. Big fan of Bassi, big fan of Silva. They'll be absolutely solid. In at 10th, Manchester United. I just don't see it. I don't like the front line. I like Cunha. He's injured as we're speaking. Sesko's 0-0 and 5 by the end of the weekend. Mark my words. I'm just not a huge fan of what they've done. I'm really not. I like Cunha. He's the one that I think, I'm a big fan of Cunha. He's a Manchester United player. And Mbeumo will score goals, of course. But these guys are struggling. And it's embarrassing as a City fan that we're below Manchester United because it's really bad. And that'll be reflected a little bit later on in the video. But ultimately, Man United in at 10th. I don't think they're going to be above the other sides I've just talked about. They're not better than the likes of Everton. I've put Everton in at 9th. Now, I had them a little bit lower at the start of the season. We had no idea how good Jack Grealish would be. We had no idea even about Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who was a player that is completely not talked about for his time at Chelsea. Barely got a game last season. Let's be completely real. Dewsbury Hall, Grealish and Dye is actually a better front three than Manchester United. That's why I put them above them. Maybe Barry's not as good as Sesko. Who knows? But ultimately, the kind of three behind the striker, outstanding. 4-2-3-1. They're going to be physical. They could do a little bit of what Nuno did last season with Forest. Be defensive, hit sides on the counter-attack. Jack Grealish, outstanding. I love Jack Grealish. I do. Above Everton is Brighton. I think they've got a deeper squad. I'm a big fan of Hertz. So they've just smashed Manchester City. Let's be real. That was disastrous. They've got a great squad. They've got great rotation. Rutter's coming off the bench. Hertz made a four-man substitution against Man City. Completely altered the game. This is Brighton beating Pep Guardiola's Man City. So the money in that squad is being realised down to the brilliance of Hertz as a manager. These are the facts. Aston Villa in at 7. I don't see them pushing up. I don't see them being bad enough to be anywhere near mid-table. I just don't see any movement from my earlier prediction. They've still got goals on the side in Ollie Watkins, still got Conte, who's a superb centre-back. They've kept Martinez. There might be pressure on the manager. He might not be there at the start of next season. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Aston Villa. They've got a Europa League run to have a focus on. But ultimately, in the league, I think 7th is spot on. Newcastle United in at 6th. What can I say? I've dropped them down, actually. Voltemada, not sure. Alanga, I'm a huge fan of. Visser, we're not sure if Visser and Voltemada can even get 50% of the goals of Isaac. We don't know. So they're massively downgraded in that department. But everywhere else, I like the squad, Tonali, Bruno. But I do think they dropped down one position. If you lose your best player and you don't replace him light for light in terms of quality, maybe the ceiling is there for Voltemada to come in and be like Isaac one day in the future. We don't know. But ultimately, right now, it is a downgrade. So that's why I've downgraded their rating. They're down to 6th. 5th, Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank's created stability, normalcy. He's created great patterns of play. They are physical. They got Paulinho, midfield, who is just bossing the every game that he plays. He's bossing it. I'm a huge fan of Sarr. I'm a huge fan of even Brennan Johnson picking up goals. Great against Manchester City. It feels like everyone is at the moment. I think they're going to sneak back into the Champions League. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Chelsea in at 4. Nothing changes for me. I still think they've got quality in João Pedro. I haven't seen enough in the last few weeks. I thought they laboured at points against Fulham. Estavia looks fantastic. The back line still looks weak. There's nothing to suggest in the last few weeks they're going to move radically above what I put them in at the start of the season, which was 4th. This is a big change now in at 3rd. I've put Manchester City to drop down a place. What can I say? The squad quality is there. The managerial nous is there. There just isn't a back line. And unless I've seen more of Donnarumma, he's played 5 games and he's kept 5 clean sheets, I can say, oh, wow, actually, we could have some form going into the next few months. I get it. But defensively speaking, this is shocking. And the injuries, this isn't City's fault, injuries. The Club World Cup was something that Guardiola worried and stressed about in the media for many, many months. But Rodri, Nico Gonzalez, Phil Foden to come back, Cherki to come back, Haaland's banging in goals. He'll be the highest scorer in the Premier League this season. The defence has to change. And maybe I'll do another video in a month after the next international break, updating my predictions again. But right now, I don't see how, with the back line, City finish above Arsenal and Liverpool. I don't really get it. It'd be a minor miracle. Haaland would have to score a brace every single game. And it's possible. That's how good he is. But you can't build any kind of momentum on that back line. Maybe it's enough momentum to win a cup this season, i.e. the Champions League. Who knows? In at number 2, I've put Arsenal. The way they interacted with Liverpool in the game, how negative they were, putting in Moreno, not giving Eze a start. These guys have got small-time mentality against the likes of Liverpool. This Liverpool side aren't a joke. They've just signed Isak and Wirtz for big, big money. And you've got Arsenal who are running scared, and they're going to have to find unbelievable form. They're going to have to find 10, 11, 12 wins in a row and hope Liverpool, it just doesn't click for Liverpool, that there are injuries, something goes wrong with Arne Slot, with Isak or Ekitike. These are big question marks that are always so big. If anything goes wrong, this is how crazy it is. If anything goes wrong, if you're Arsenal wanting to win the Premier League title, if anything goes wrong for Salah this season, and he has an absolute crazy season where he only scores 10 goals, Isak's going to come in. Ekitike is going to come in. Even someone like Chiesa. These guys have got so much quality. It's scary. Gakpo, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. They've got so much quality and now belief and now momentum because of the transfer window that I think Arsenal will struggle to maintain that. They're going to have to be very defensively resolute. They're going to have to be a lot better against sides at the Emirates in the bottom half of the table, breaking them down. That's where Eze, I've said, is a massive signing for them and one of my favourite signings of the summer. Is it enough to surpass Liverpool? These are the big questions in life. I feel that it isn't. It really isn't. If they hadn't signed Isak, then maybe. If they signed Gahey, I wouldn't even bother doing the video because it would definitely be Liverpool. The one question mark, if you are an Arsenal fan, would be if there's any defensive issues with Joe Gomez, Van Dijk's age. I think Alisson's still superb. The fullbacks, Frimpong's injured. It could be an injury situation in the back line for Liverpool, which costs them maybe against the likes of Aston Villa away, the Evertons away, where they've struggled at points in the last few years. These are minor debates. Liverpool, for me, will come first. It hasn't changed since the start of the season, and now they've added Isak. It'd be a minor catastrophe if they don't win the Premier League this season. I think we're actually debating if Liverpool can win 2 or 3 trophies this season. That's how good I think they are. And you've got to say fair play because Arne Slot did it with no investment last season, and now he's done it with a very fair amount of net investment, and they've got a scary side. I mean, it's a scary side. Isak, Ekitike, Gakpo, and Salah next game against Burnley potentially. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say on these videos? I don't know what I'm meant to do. Scary times. If you're a Liverpool fan, I feel that they're going to retain the Premier League title. These are my final predictions. Yeah, I think I'm done with these. This is over now. These are my final locked-in predictions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you very, very soon.